The good old days of freeloading are over. You heard that right. Netflix is changing its policy for account-sharing members. And no, it's not because of you being sloppy with your passwords. It seems like in its efforts to boost revenues, the streaming giant is experimenting with charging a fee for account sharing outside of families, a move that has not sat very well with its users. In today's video, we look into why the popular streaming website has been so stingy lately and how the users have reacted to it. First up, enjoy it while it lasts. It's not a secret that many of us have been mooching off our friends and family's Netflix accounts for years, and apparently Netflix knows all about it too. However, the streaming giant appears to be reconsidering its look-the-other-way approach by now charging extra to those who have been sharing their accounts with others outside of their family. Yeah, you'll have to completely cut off that X now. The decision comes as Netflix's growth slows and its annual production budget for churning out new content rises. In other words, Netflix needs more dough. It all began when Netflix announced that it was testing a new service in Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru that would allow main account holders to add up to 2 other users outside their households for a very small amount. It's unclear whether this new price structure, like previously supposed crackdowns on password sharing, will be widely implemented, but it does provide another option for Netflix to increase its revenue and make up for the stalled subscriber growth. Would it make any difference, though? According to Michael Pachter, a Wedbush securities analyst, the crackdown will result in 5% subscriber growth, partially or totally offset by an increase in churn, and it will have little, if any, impact on financials. Yikes! It isn't gonna be all Netflix and chill for the website, it seems. This is not the first time the streaming giant has pulled such a move on its users, though. Earlier in March 2021, Netflix stated that it will begin periodically requiring customers to verify their credentials in order to continue using their accounts, but the feature never fully rolled out and did not become permanent, at least not yet. Pachter mentions the difficulty of cracking down on password sharing. Streamers will alert users when new devices are added, but it is difficult to distinguish between a new subscriber and a buddy borrowing a login. Next, love is sharing a password. No, if the streaming website is to be believed, it really isn't the same old Netflix that once believed that love was sharing your password. Not anymore. While it's true that all of the leading streamers mention in their terms of service that accounts are supposed to be used within a single household, such regulations are rarely, if ever, enforced. Apple TV, which gives users 5 profiles, presently has the most simultaneous streams available at 6, while Disney Plus allows members to create up to 7 separate profiles on the same account and have 4 simultaneous streams. Although Netflix has been pretty chill about its users sharing passwords for years, with Netflix CEO Reed Hastings even going so far as to declare it a good thing in the past, it has recently decided against the good thing. Like other streamers, Netflix technically prohibits users from sharing accounts with individuals outside your household, but this time around the company has been hinting for the past few years that it may be looking into ways to gradually enforce a shared account crackdown, primarily through stray tests like the one announced this recently. But something feels different about this new trial, as it comes at a critical time for the company. Netflix has long enjoyed rapid subscriber growth, but this has now begun to wane. Now, Netflix and Bill. The causes for this slowdown are a few, with the global pandemic being one. The company itself has blamed global macroeconomic factors in many parts of the world that have affected its subscriber base. In Canada or US, though, it has been more about the increased competition faced by the world's largest streaming platform. Disney Plus, Warner Media's HBO Max, Viacom CBS Paramount, and NBC Universal's Peacock are already draining Netflix's subscriber count, while smaller regional platforms are also cutting into potential overseas markets. The competition may have heated up, but is the streaming giant's competition capable of doing the same? According to Ender's analysis, Tom Harrington, other streamers may find it difficult to readily follow Netflix in monetizing account sharing, even though it appears inevitable. They're not ballsy enough to go through with it yet. There's a key difference between Netflix and some of its scrappier rivals, who may be trying to be a supplement rather than direct competition to the streaming giant. The streaming website, like everyone else, continues to jack up its prices to help cover costs. However, while the rest of the streaming industry is creating ad tiers to entice users and lessen the impact to their users' wallets, Netflix refuses to do so, at least for now. Netflix has let it go for a long time, as per analyst Richard Greenfield. When something becomes such a crucial part of your everyday life, it becomes simpler to crack down on things like password sharing and make it work because people will most likely follow suit. And we think at this point Netflix is pretty much exploiting the fact that it has become an important part of everyone's life. Let's face it, half the most popular shows right now are Netflix productions. It's now a part of pop culture, a brand that just sells. Next, the freeloaders are furious. While it may be all that and more, the users are still not happy with paying a single penny more for it. Netflix got a massive backlash, as it should, earlier last month after confirming that it will begin charging certain members a fee for sharing their accounts with people outside their household. Some users, particularly younger ones, are worried about how the shift may affect their personal life, especially at a time when people are going through an economic crunch following the pandemic. Netflix will lose a lot of customers if they conduct this password-sharing crackdown that they plan to do, an angry user tweeted. Extra charges and nonsense. Many believe that the move makes no sense, especially because they don't have as much decent material as some of the other streamers are producing anymore. Users claim they were hanging by a thread after the recent announcement, since they no longer enjoyed the content being published on the website to be paying so much individually. Another user thought the measure was unjust since it affected family members who did not live in the same household. That's a legit concern, they're not gonna lie. Netflix has got to clarify what constitutes a family while it goes through with the new ban as well. How do you expect families to manage password sharing when divorcees, their children, or college students are away from home, they asked. We already pay a high price for it. Now you're just milking us for every dollar spent. While others wondered why it mattered since the users were already paying to the max. Some of my family are in another state. Will Netflix F them over? Long, on the other hand, stated that Netflix will try to understand the value of these two services for members in these 3 countries before making adjustments anywhere else in the world. If on one hand it may appear that Netflix was pulling a smart move to add on to its reserves, in hindsight, it may not be as smart as the streaming giant believes it to be. As mentioned earlier, Netflix is currently facing a lot of competition from other streaming giants, and we'd say a pretty legit one, with Hulu, Disney Plus putting out incredibly interesting content that comes with zero demands, as well as free pirated websites drawing in millions of users. Netflix may have made a colossal mistake that will cost it heavily. We think the need of the hour is to put out better content than it currently is, that as per viewers is mediocre at best. Netflix has been more inclined towards profits than creating fun content that would in turn make people want to pay more. Now, more like Netflix and Bill. Understandably, the streaming website has undergone a financial crunch, but so did the rest of the world after the pandemic. With tens of billions of dollars spent on its content, Netflix must get innovative about how it generates revenue. Going full-fledged ban police on shared accounts is undoubtedly one way to go, especially since Netflix has proven itself as an important service in many households. But is it entirely necessary? We wonder. It's important to note that Netflix is still calling this a test for the time being. The streaming website hasn't completely yanked the rug out from under those of us fortunate enough to have an ex or grandparent willing to share their password. And it's likely Netflix will opt for a different technique than booting us from accounts belonging to people outside of our own families. Bringing the hammer on shared accounts risks losing and offending its own users, which is bad for any streamer competing for attention right now. Would you resub your Netflix subscription if the ban really goes through, or is it going to be a pass? What do you think of the new policy? Comment below and let us know. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.